times, and thank you for the bad times, and thank you for the difficult times. And we're not supposed to just thank you for when we're having a good old time. We're supposed to thank you for when times are rough, and know that you're working in our life, and that you do these things after your own counsel, and you do them for your own pleasure. So we don't always understand what you're doing, but if we have faith, we'll, as long as we stay in your agape, we'll phileo, not idolatry, that sometimes you crush us because you know exactly what you're doing. You're doing it for your reason. Some things take a long time to come to fruition. So been a long time coming. I talked about these days for many years, $5 day silver, and soon to come $10 days. So here are $100 silver, for an ounce of silver. So pretty amazing to see so much movement in the market. I mean, it's not good the way it's going up so fast, but I don't think it's coming back down. Not anytime soon. I think we've entered into a long bull cycle, and better hold on, because it's going to get wild and crazy. I talked about these days where when silver, the more expensive it gets, more it's a safe haven asset, and people rush to these metals. Gold and silver are our Father's money. That's God's money. So yeah, here we are, $5 silver days. It's up 5.30 right now today, $5.30. So I was right. They closed out that silver market last night, and it's $5 for, the markets closed last night on copper, and I went back on the Golden State Mint, and it looks like it's $5.19 for one round. So I'm glad Ryan was able to get in on that, and I think we're just beginning to see what's going to happen in the silver markets, and copper's going to follow it. There's not a lot out there to be had. It's used up. These data centers, these AI, can't go into a tech market without having these precious metals. So how much does copper need to be? Let's have this discussion. Sometimes you get ahead of things before most people do. And how much does copper have to be before it becomes a precious metal? I remember buying silver at $13, $14, $15, and I do think we'll see $13, $14, and $15 an ounce copper. So does that make it a precious metal? So we'll see. These are some interesting times. I think gold had a $100 day today. I think it's up over $100 in one day. That's a pretty big move. I think gold with a premium is going to cost you almost $5,000 for an ounce of gold right now. So silver is $100. I showed Kevin, I sent him a message earlier about $99.64, I think it was, to buy a physical silver buffalo. So here we go, $100 days. They're here. We made it. People told me I was crazy for a lot of years, but here we are, $5.30 in one day. So we're going to have $10 days where silver's going to go up for $10 a day. Should come back down too. So better hold on for dear life there. It's called HODL. So, got to have rice and beans, got to have food, got to have water, got to have shelter, got to have all those things for you. Put any your money into some kind of asset that's, again, food's a lot more important when you're laying next to a 100-ounce gold bar and you don't have any food. You're not going to, you're going to wish you had some food. So again, I talked about these days. I blogged about these, that this was going to be possible. And I feel that silver told you that under $100 an ounce, that's a good deal. considering they print $1 trillion every 100 days, that's a lot of money to be printed. If I stack dollar bills, fiat currency on end, not like this or like this, you can go to the moon and back 4 times. That's a phenomenal amount of paper. So pretty interesting. Silver add on a paper contract, $85 and change, but to hold the metal in your hand, you're looking at near $100. So some people measure their wealth in dollars and cents, and very few people measure their wealth in, well, how about acres or ounces and pounds, so what an interesting time. I'd like to say that I am, but I'm not. I went into the doctor today. It didn't go as I like it, because they don't like it when you don't want to take their drugs, and so it didn't turn out very well right out the gate. They asked me what pharmacy I go to, and I told them I don't want their drugs, so the doctor just rushed me out of there. Ounces and acres, good. I'm saying that's how about chicken eggs and leg of lamb, and so there's other ways to put your your hard-earned dollars into something other than just zeros and ones on a computer. So yeah, it was kind of, I went there and they drew blood, they did blood work, and they're going to send me for an x-ray, and I got to go drive into town, and but it already says it in my medical records that I won't take any of their narcotics. Narcotics don't fix the problem. They just kind of put a Band-Aid over it. So I just didn't get anywhere. She rushed me out of there, and I don't feel like I got very good service at all. She didn't want to talk about it, and it already has in my medical records that I refused medical. I ran away from back surgery, and that put a pretty big mar in my, refusing medical attention and not taking their drugs doesn't make them money, and it doesn't make them want to look at you. She didn't really talk to me very much, and so I don't feel like I got really anything accomplished. So we'll see what the blood work says. Like I said, on the exterior, I'm fine, but something's going on with me. Obviously, I'm still pretty stressed out about my son and daughter, and that's hard to live with every day. Just before I was coming on here, I was thinking about him, and so it's okay. Father knows what he's doing, but I was hoping it would go a little different. They'd listen to me, but straight out the gate, they asked me which pharmacy that I use, and I said, I haven't been to a doctor since 2009, and I don't want your drugs. So, and I did tell them that I'm not currently using cannabis, and they don't like that, because they're, and I told them that's what I use, and I don't normally, I use it as needed, and so told them that I tried to get my medical card, and I didn't have any records since 2009. So she immediately said, well, when she called it marijuana and I called it cannabis, and I kind of argued with her, she didn't like that either. So she didn't really want to listen to me. So I don't think she cared about what was going on with me. So that's okay. We'll see what the blood work says. I'm going to probably have to drive into, a couple hours away and go to where there's a place where they can take another x-ray of my back and see what's going on back there. But I don't know. I don't feel good. I feel like somebody's standing on my chest, and I don't have any respiratory issues, but I have a shortness of breath, and I have for, since all the tear gas, canisters didn't help breathing tear gas for an unreal amount of time. So missing my son and my daughter, losing my dog, and now my cat and animals, and I'm just I don't have that fire burning inside of me that normally it's quite obvious when people are around me that Father gives me a passion for just who I am. But seems to be kind of, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's there right now, and it's okay. I'm not going anywhere, so I come in here and do what I can in here. Like I said, I'm trying to eat good, and I don't eat sugar, and I quit buying bread. I bought some hamburger buns, but I used to go through a ton of bread, um, pasta. I just don't eat it anymore. I'm healthy as far as what I eat, but something is, I don't know. I told him I think I got poisoned. You know what I'm saying? I think I got poisoned when I went to jail. I got my appeal paperwork today in the mail to appeal the case. So a little disappointed about the statute limitations on the case, because I was hoping that would get a team of investigators to go find my son and daughter. But I think I waited too long, because I don't care about the money. It isn't about suing people for money. It was about, holding these people accountable for their actions. And it was my neglect to go in there or not file the lawsuits. So Father will take care of it. What's the worst that can happen? I don't have any more breasts, and I don't have to suffer anymore. So it's okay. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not looking for death. I'll live another 50 years. You know what I'm saying? No, you know what you're talking about, Michelle. Jesus is Satan, the Son of God, so you can take your Jesus and kick rocks, go somewhere else. There's no such thing as Jesus. So Jesus is Apollyon, Satan, the Son, God, birthed on December 25th. So take your Jesus and go somewhere else. You're an occult Satanist, and I'm not going to have, I don't sup with swine. You're swine, your energy is low, and you don't know who the Hamashiach is. He didn't hang from a cross. So that's Jesus Christ is the one that's your cross Jesus. So go on out of here. I don't have time for people who don't take and study. You prove yourself worthy by the word, and apparently it's faith. You have to die to be saved. So you probably don't know anything about it. I can start asking you one word at a time in the scriptures, and I'm sure you're going to fail. So if you'd like to take a test, we'll give you one, but don't come in here and, you ever heard of a immaculate conception? So grow up, child. But that's okay. This is an adult only stream. So what do we got? Hold on one second, guys. I don't know if that's the hospital or what it is, but let me take that call. I'll be right back. All right, my apologies there. We're back. That might get back here. Like I said, I went to the hospital. It didn't go as planned, and it's okay. Father does all things after his own counsel. They don't like when you refuse their snakes up a pole, their drugs. So I think that set them on the wrong path, and so it is what it is. I'll just push through it, and we'll see. Just like I said, I just made the mention that I'm not taking their narcotics, and so I got hung up on. So I think they just want to feed me a bunch of drugs, and I don't want to take their drugs. So that doesn't help when you won't take their pills and let them give you a bunch of crap. So I don't want it in my body. We'll see what happens. Like I said, they may call back. Like I said, I just got hung up on. So it's okay. No worries. Narcotics aren't going to fix my issues. There's something else going on. So hopefully the blood work will come back and tell me something, give me some idea what's going on. Like I said, on my exterior, I look just fine, but I'm super tired. I woke up today. But I'm tired when I wake up. Why am I tired? Why am I feel like I got, my whole body's just achy kind of, and that's not me. I'm very busy, constantly doing things and stay super active, and I get sore and things like that. But this is kind of like a whole body is just not feeling it. So we'll see. I have to get an X-ray of my back. They sent off for my medical file because it's been 2009 is the last time I went to the doctor. So it's been a long time since I've been to was that 16 years or something like that? 16, almost 17 years ago. So they don't like that. They want you to come back and do a regular thing and take their narcotics, and I don't want them. So I told them I'm not going to take them. I don't care. Hold on. Again, I'm going to restart the stream all over because having a connection issue there. So we'll see if it stays connected. All right, I came in here to Burger King. You can't always have it your way, so I would have liked to talk to the doctor a little bit more. I didn't get any kind of that I normally do. I'm normally out of bed by 6 o'clock. I've got animals that need to be fed, and I'm a farmer, and so I can't just sit around. There's animals that are dependent on me being, water gets frozen, and I have to take the water in every day and bring it back out and make sure that the birds are doing okay. So I'm going to go talk to them tomorrow if I can. And but I know they're going to do the same thing. They're just going to want to put me on some kind of prescription. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take their prescription. So if it has something to do with my heart or something like that, or so that's different. But I'm not taking narcotics. I'm not going to take some kind of Adderall or I don't know. I'm not going to take any of their drugs. So I think a little bit it might be that again I have used cannabis for my sciatica and my nerve problems that I've had from busting myself up, and I don't have it in my system. So maybe after 15 years of using it off and on, that my body's just feeling a little bit different. So being in the position that Father has me in, I'm not supposed to be. I don't even know. It doesn't say that I don't think it says that I can't take it, but it says if I have a history of it, that they can give me some kind of test, whatever P test. But I'm gonna work on trying to get my medicinal card and see if I can make that happen, and then go from there. So I don't think I'm detoxing or whatever, because I don't. When I was in jail for 23 days, I didn't think about it, didn't want it, didn't crave it, don't have a addictive personality, and so I don't really use it that way. I use it to take and settle the nerve. I've had an EMG, and I have a lot of issues with my nerves, having some nerve damage. So I am thinking that maybe that could be it, but like I said, I don't have this sudden urge to use it. I know if I could use it would probably make things better, but well, either way, I don't think it was worthless, but I would have liked to walked out of there with some kind of diagnosis. So it's okay. It's all right. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going anywhere. I don't think that I'm dying or anything like that. I think I'm well, what's all this about? Let me see here. Hold on. What's this? There's I've never seen us. Interesting. Something on my chat that I've never seen before. Chat filter. Let's go all messages and see if we get any messages here. Oh, yeah, I'm missing all your messages. Dang it. Yeah, cool. So what's the old word for witch? Oh, we never got that, huh? We never did that yesterday. So the old word for witch. Nobody answered that. Man, you got a good memory there, Joe. Um, they didn't call them witches. They called them Brewsters. I'm not sure when you asked that, but they called them Brewsters because they would take and make potions out of such things as sugar and leaven, or yeast, and they made alcohol like a witch's brew, and they would stir their brew in their witch's pot. They weren't witches, they were Brewsters, and they could intoxicate a man and take all his stuff from him, get him lit, and it allowed them to be independent. They knew how to use the different kinds of psilocybins and different kinds of make elixirs and potions. Alcohol, more than anything, alcohol. Like get a man intoxicated, and that's why they burned him at the stake, because they could cure with not the the alternative type of medicine, um, in many ways more of like a homeopathic, and use that. So Joe asked the question because that came up last night. I think we were talking about they didn't call them witches; they called them Brewsters, and they would brew a witch's brew, right? Like witch potion, and again make spirits. And that's where your word spirit comes from, right? Spirit's the word hokadesh, but you drink spirits, right? So they called them witches and said they were bad. And more than anything, these ladies could become independent. They knew how to cure diseases and how to, um, again, get somebody intoxicated on spirits, and they could take everything from them when they pass out. And so that was a threat to society and a threat to men who were very independent and didn't like the fact that these women could overtake them. And so there were women like that they would call them witches, right, in this modern day, but they didn't call them witches. They called them Brewsters, and they would make up potions. And Punky Brewster, there you go. Punky, you got it. So that the Brewsters is what they called them. Nobody's ever called a witch, but more than anything, as a whole, the reason why that they were such a threat to man is they were independent. They were independent. They could make a living, they could support themselves, and they didn't need a man to take care of them. And so that was kind of like Christ was such a threat to the church, because he said the temple is our body, and he doesn't dwell in temples made by hands. That doesn't keep the church going. That doesn't keep the money flowing into the tithing baskets. So that's why these ladies were such a threat to society, that they would tell them that they were witches, and that they would mix up potions and get a man drunk, in the spirit, and then, take all this stuff from them. Not all of them did, but that's how they could, be independent. It was more of their independent, ability to cure and to make a living too. They could make potions that they could cure disease with, and that wasn't the normal doctors and nurses and type of. It's almost like how modern day homeopathic, remedies are frowned on. Nutritional doctors, MDs, medical doctors don't like NDs. A nutritional doctor will tell you how to stay healthy. Just like I went and saw this MD today. They don't like it that I won't take their snakes of a pole, take their narcotics, and it doesn't fix anything. doesn't make anything better to, I mean, a narcotic to me is the same thing as getting, crushed off of some alcohol or some spirits, right? And it's not going to fix anything. It might put a mask over it. It might put a Band-Aid over the issue, but it doesn't fix your problem. So I'm not much of a Band-Aid guy anyways. If it's not bleeding, I'm not going to put a Band-Aid on it. As a matter of fact, I don't want to put a Band-Aid on it because I want it to dry out and start healing and get over it. I don't want to keep it all wet and moist and have the chance of getting an infection. And so there are many times out here, if I cut my hand or something and I'm working out here, I just shove it in the dirt, and that stops the bleeding. It's kind of like cauterizing it. So good question, Joe. Good question. So did you go look at the price of copper today there, Ryan? Thank you for helping me out. I'm hoping that you already received that. I sent that out. I went there today and I had to stay in town a little bit longer to get to the credit union, but I got over there and hopefully that got back to you. I apologize. It took a little bit longer because I came home and my phone was dead almost. So I had to let it charge up for a little bit. So that was a good, I think, what is it? 519 right now. Even those bull and bear rounds are now 417 for the same thing that was 207 or 415. So $2.08 each for every one that was ordered. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, it was after I ordered that. I went back on and said, okay, well, I'll see. I did some budgeting and said, well, I think I could throw a little bit more at this. I'll go there at 11 o'clock. And I think it was at 3 or 4 o'clock. I laid down for a little while. I couldn't get any sleep. I think I might have crashed for about an hour. And then I woke back up. And that was it. That was it. So there was it's gone. The sale's over. And there's actually a few or a couple of them that are missing that were on sale, like that Standing Liberty and the Year of the Horse, because that's what I thought I would do. It's like, well, maybe I should move some of these down the road. And now I'm running into an issue too with them, with my P.O. box. And I knew that might be an issue, but I'll figure it out. I called them directly today, and I've had problems because of where I live, and this P.O. box has a problem, the system recognizing it. So I just thought I would diversify because I like those bull bear, but I thought I'd maybe get a couple of the, some of the Liberty ones and some of the Year of the Horse, because they're like Zodiac with all the different Zodiac symbols on them. They don't have any of those anymore, and there's none of those Standing Liberty coins. So they're not even available. So good call. But hopefully if you can check, because it did send out. I sent it first thing. I waited there a little bit longer after I went to my doctor's and went straight over to the credit union and put that money back in there. I appreciate you doing that, because I would have not got it. And then I kind of decided, today I'm like, well, maybe I should hold that back a little bit. I have expenses coming up for the following months, and I don't have anything sold right away. I actually have some guy wanting to trade a 4-wheeler for that car that I have for sale online. I have a Scion, a TC, nice little car, gets good gas mileage. Got some high miles, but it runs real good. And so appreciate it. Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to, I had no chance. I think it was at 3 o'clock, it was done, it was over. And I actually kind of loaded up a cart to see how many, like maybe I can, do a little bit more and see. And so, yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like I said, that's doubled, like I said, I don't know if they're going to send them or not. I talked to the sales, and I've had an issue out here, and it's because all our mail goes through Silver Lake before it ever comes out here. And sometimes that process triggers something in the system because of the P.O. box. So I've been refunded before. I'm hoping that's not what happens here. I talked to one of the salesmen, and he said, you're not going to lose your money if it does not go through. We're not going to take your money from you. I said, well, maybe I can find another address, and I can order through that. He said, well, I don't think we can give you the sale price though. And I was like, are you serious? So I've ordered, like I said, if I go on, and I'm not sure if you ever had a PO box, if that's all you have, like I've gone on Amazon before and tried to order things off of Amazon, and it's a no-go. They will not ship to a PO box. So I could have swore that I've ordered from this company before, but maybe I used a physical address, because I've known people that have had a physical address, because it's been years since I've actually purchased anything from this mint. So, but I did get it ordered. It did go through, like I said, because I had ordered, I think on the 5th or something like that, I called them and they said they're a little slow right now because of the holiday season, and it's taking them a week, sometimes an extra week to get things out and shipped. And so, at the very least, they'll send my money back to me, but I don't want dollars. I want those copper rounds. So we'll see. Like I said, I've run into this, before with this PO box living out here in the middle of the country. And I do think the issue with it is because everything goes to Silver Lake and then comes out here to Christmas Valley. So there's something between the two that doesn't allow it to, let me see. Much filet and much agape. I appreciate that. Like I said, if it goes through, that'll be great, because at the rate right now, everything's going up. Silver had a $5 day today, $99.64 to buy a Buffalo round from Matmex. We've had $100 silver. We hit $100 on silver, guys. $100 silver. $10 days coming up. Talked about dollar days and $5 days, and I've already made a mention of this, but are you ready for silver to go up $10 a day? Gold went up $100 today. $100, $100 days in gold, and 5 and well, maybe 10, $10 days. Imagine silver going up $10 a day. That'll get it up to 100. Bank of America said that $309 silver. Where they got that number from, I don't know. They must have used a certain calculation. But B of A, the Bank of America, said $309 silver. When are we going to see $309 silver? I think we'll see $309 silver before the end of the year. I really do. I think we will see $309 silver. And that seems like, no way. Well, nobody ever said it'd go past 50 either. It's always going to stay down there and it's not worth it. Well, look at it now. Like I said, go online and look up APMEX and go try to find a silver buffalo and see what it costs you to buy a silver buffalo. When I priced it out, it was $99.64 to hold an actual physical silver buffalo in your hand. So, or have one in your pocket, like my pocket piece here. So, if you want to hold the physical metal in silver as of right now, it's going to cost you a $100 bill. $100 bill. So, I made a mention earlier too in the chat that I remember buying silver at $13, $14, and $15 an ounce, and it was considered a precious metal. So when copper gets $15 an ounce, does that make copper a precious metal? They already made it a strategic metal. Did we just see copper turn into a precious metal, brothers and sisters? All these data mining centers, they take a lot of copper. They take silver too, but they take a lot of copper. A lot of circuitry, a lot of electronics, a lot of diodes and different kinds of, things are going to need that copper, and silver is pretty expensive compared to copper, obviously. But when copper becomes $15 a pound or $15 an ounce, does that make it a precious metal? I thinking so. I mean, if silver was 13, 14, 15 an ounce and they called that a precious metal, does that make copper a precious metal? So, pretty interesting times to be in the market. I'd like to get some more of these, but I don't think I'm going to get any more. They're just I can't buy $100 silver. That's too expensive for me. And that's actually not a bad deal. I don't think that's a bad price on silver. When silver's at $300, you're not going to care that you paid $100 for it. You're going to triple your investment. So, um, how long until we see $200 silver and $12 and $15 copper ounces? I do think that's possible to do this year. So I've been doing a lot of research in the copper markets, and there's some missing copper out there. I'm not saying it's in the deficit like silver is, but it's definitely being used up. And it is one of these metals. It's not it just doesn't stay there like gold. Gold, you really can't get rid of gold, but copper can be depleted. People use it for all kinds of things, and it gets destroyed. And it doesn't last forever like gold. It's just never goes away. Silver is not exactly the same. Obviously, silver, it has patinas and tarnishes. And if you ever seen silver that goes at the bottom of the ocean, they turn, real green or whatever and stick together. And you don't see that with gold. Gold lasts forever. So what an interesting time, man. What a crazy time to be a witness to this massive, I'd like to see the markets pull back, but I don't think the markets are going to pull back. They have a little bit, but not, not online. We're talking about $1 maybe spread. I was just saying $94, $95 for silver, and now it's $99 and change. So you might as well call it $100 silver. $100 silver. Who would have ever thought, huh? I don't think you've seen the top of silver anywhere close. I think silver could rival gold. Again, if you know, at the time of Rome, they valued a piece of silver the same price as a piece of gold. They were 1 to 1. They had not one had more value than the other. So will we see that in our lifetimes? I think so. Could silver go 1 to 1 with gold? I think silver could be worth more than gold. Again, I've said this not to beat a dead horse, but it's widely used. It's used way more than gold. So I think it has more value in the open market, not just as an investment metal, but an industrial metal, and then also used in medicine, used in photovoltaics, used in solar. They use it in photo, like I said. They weave it into Band-Aids and gauze, so that gives it antimicrobial and antibacterial properties. Obviously, there's the industrial side. That new battery that I don't know which company came out with it. I don't think it's Tesla, but they've got that battery that's silver. I don't know if it's lined or how it works on that. I haven't gone into all the details, but 32 ounces, 32 ounces. That's a $3,200 battery. And colloidal silver gets used up. So a lot of silver gets used up. Gold, 97% of the gold that's on this rock right now was here millions of years ago. They recycle all the gold. Like I said, they recycle all the gold. Very seldom does gold not get recycled. Silver's been thrown into the landfill for decades now. So I don't think people are going to be throwing it away anymore at $100 an ounce. Like I said, it's sure getting a lot lighter. Everybody said silver's so heavy. I mean, gold is actually heavier than silver. It's more dense. So, like 2 bars that are the same size, the gold is actually going to be heavier. So, I'm not sure. I would think so, right? I really would. I know if copper is and silver is. I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty certain it is. I'm pretty sure it has that same antimicrobial and antibacterial type of property. I know the elite make it into a colloidal gold. I've heard of that before, so they must be taking it. I've heard of them breaking it down into like a nano particle, and they take it. from what I've heard, the elite basically take nano copper like we take, or excuse me, nano gold like we take, colloidal silver. So, good question, outstanding question. So, but I would think so. I really would. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere, but maybe not. Actually, I remember reading something here recently. I'd have to look that up. So, I just remember reading something I don't know, about 3 or 4 days ago. And I remember going over, somebody was having a similar discussion on what you're talking about. And they said that gold doesn't work the same way. So, okay, I would think so. I really would. But maybe it's something else that it wasn't used, because it's just so expensive compared to silver. But I know I have heard of nano gold before, kind of like a colloidal gold. How there's colloidal silver, and that these elitists take it on a regular basis and put it in their system because it has those properties. Again, I didn't know if it was antimicrobial or bacterial, but I would think so. I'm not sure what it said in that article. And it was just one article I read, and I don't normally just base decision off of one single article. I like to at least triplicate and have 3 separate sources, 3 good quality sources before I say, okay, yeah, that's a good, kind of like using the scientific method. You're always going to dispute the known with the theory, and so I use that same method when I do research. I don't just see something and go, oh, that's the end all be all because somebody said it. Now, 99 truths in a lie is a lie, and 99 lies in a truth is still a lie. So you got to be careful with your sources this day and age. But I would think so. I don't see why it wouldn't. Again, they made brass is another one that has some of those same, physical properties to it as well. If you think about, they had brass doorknobs, copper and brass. People drink out of copper glasses and stuff because of the ability to, people store, sometimes they would store liquids in copper. Or, like I said, put a piece of silver in milk. They used to store milk with silver in it. Keeps it from getting, I think it lasts considerably longer. If you put, silver in your milk, I think it lasts longer. It gives it more longevity. So, what a crazy time, man. $100 silver. We hit it, guys. We hit $100 silver. What's the next benchmark for silver? So, cat litter. There we go. Antimicrobial, antibacterial. In a nano form, absolutely. That would keep, a lot of bacteria and microbes from growing, and I've never heard that, but it seems very reasonable. Especially in a nano, in a nano type, remember they weave it into Band-Aids and they weave it into gauze. Silver has some amazing properties. I think one day we will see silver rival the price of gold. Remember, I don't care about the price, is irrelevant. At this point in time too, it's almost getting to where they're shorting this metal. I really think we're starting to see a true short here. Well, it's been in a deficit for 6 years now, and then it went back up during the VidCo, and but the years prior to that there was a deficit, meaning there's more silver being consumed every year than there's being mined out of the ground. So again, $100 silver. I was just showing that to somebody today. I was up at the gas station, burned a little bit of time. It's my neighbor over here across the way. He's a couple miles from me, but he's like, "Man, you got that so right, Tracy." And he's like, "Hey, man, I got a whole bunch of copper." I'm like, "I've been telling you, don't get rid of your copper." But we were talking about, how the disconnect. Nobody's buying silver at $85 right now. You're not getting it for $85. Go look online. It's $99 to buy, a buffalo round. You're looking at $99. $99 for that round. You want to take it home. You want to oil. You want to have You want to have exposure to oil, and put it in your portfolio and have a oil stock. Well, then you don't have to have that dirty, Venezuelan crud and barrels and all to hold it in storage. Costs more to have oil. If you want the physical oil, you're going to pay more. Same thing with silver. You want the physical metal. You want to hold it in your hand. It's going to cost you more. Nobody's buying metal at $85 an ounce. So I'd be very hesitant if somebody tries to sell you. Do not buy silver. I talked with somebody again about this yesterday. All these stupid silver stories now, and people are starting to catch on. Oh, I went to the bank and they gave me all these liberties and old Morgans. No, you didn't. Quit trying to get attention. Some of these silver stories are getting a little outlandish right now. A lot of fakery out there. A lot of talk about it, which is good, but oh, look, I just got this from Dollar General. They gave me 2 wheat pennies and 2 mercury dimes and a silver quarter. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. I'm getting kind of sick of some of this stuff on the internet. It's getting quite outlandish on how many stories that people are just looking for some attention. They're attention whores is what they are. I'm telling you. All these silver stories, Oh, my bank gave me back a bunch of silver dimes, a whole bunch of silver rolls. Nobody brought no silver rolls to the bank and you got it back and all silver. So they're hyping it. Like I said, I think it's AI. Bots are doing it right now too. So I'd be very hesitant when silver gets to be $100 an ounce. China is pushing out a tremendous amount of fakes. There's been a lot of fakes in gold. Tungsten filled bars and stuff. But when silver was $13, $14 an ounce, it wasn't worth, trying to, make a fake, But when a quarter, a 1964 quarter is worth almost $14, I think it probably is now, at least $14, you're going to start to see fakes being pushed out onto the market. So if it's too good to be true, I don't know if you ever taught that growing up, it probably is. So somebody's going to sell you silver at spot price or under spot. You're probably getting a fake. You're probably getting a fake right now. So I'd be very hesitant to buy silver. In and out. I went to the doctor today and they had me locked in a cage for a while. But please be very hesitant. There's a lot of these bullion rounds going around at $100. Try to remember this too. I've talked about this before. You make a copy of this one, you go to jail. You go to jail. This is not an actual currency. It's not put into circulation. You make a copy of a currency, you're going to federal prison. And that's what I've always told people. You're going to pay more for a silver eagle. You're going to pay more for a maple. You're going to pay more for, a Libertad. You're going to pay more for something that's comes from a mint, because it is actually put into circulation. And if you copy that, that's kind of like our government who prints. They're the biggest counterfeiters on this rock, is the U.S. government and with the central banks. But be very cautious right now of counterfeits. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Do you know how to test silver? Even some of these silver people and gold are getting so good at it that, you can do the ping test. Remember, that's one of the tests, because silver has a certain tone to it. That's one way to test it. Put it on a scale. Put on a scale the size, the circumference. There's a lot of ways to test to make sure your silver is it's real. How about just buy it from a reputable dealer? Some of the coin shops I've been hearing to be getting, I've always said that's their business. So there's these machines they have now that are some of these counterfeits, some of these fakes are good enough to beat some of these Sigma, I think they're called, the machines. So be cautious, be very cautious of when things get hot. People make counterfeits. They're only gonna make Louis Vuitton bags and what Folkleys, the fake Oakley sunglasses or Nike tennis shoes. What I'm saying, people are gonna want. It's a lot of money to go. A lot of them coming out of China. Remember, China's not exporting any more metal, no more silver. They've always been a net importer of gold, but don't export any of their gold. Now they're not exporting any silver unless you're talking about a substantial, massive buyer with massive, a huge, I think it's like, I don't want to put a number on it, but there's not going to be a lot of silver coming out of China. And that's about 40% of the markets are coming from China. They refine a lot of our metals, so be very cautious on trying to get it because it's cheap. If it's cheap, something's wrong. This metal's not cheap. It never should have been the price it should have been for the last 10, 15 years. Silver should have been $100 10 years ago. So if you start seeing things pop up on the market, and there's a lot of these things like on Facebook Marketplace, what's that, Etsy, and some of these other things, we'll give you, 3 for $10 under spot. You're getting hosed. Somebody's taking you to the cleaners. So don't buy from anything that's not a trusted mint. That's why I know like Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin, he's a U.S. mint distributor, and he's really big about buying from, he sells bullion, he sells some of these other routes, but he would recommend buying from a reputable mint. And that, because again, I told you, you copy a mint, you make a counterfeit mint, you go to federal prison. You copy just a piece of silver that's not, just bullion, you're going to go to jail. You might go to state. You're not going to go to a federal prison. So there is a reason why there's been a higher cost, higher premium for, a coin and a round are two different things. A coin is something that comes from a mint. A round is bullion. Okay. So definitely be very cautious. You want to talk about my incident on Craigslist, in 2017? Let's go ahead. Bring it up there. Like something you don't like. What are you trying to cast some shade on me here or something? Just went to jail, you dumbass. So get the fuck out of here, child. What are you, Mike? Step up to the mic. So I got to do anything in here, you troll. So, but anyways, definitely be careful. Craigslist, I'm 50. What are you, 50 cent? Half a buck? So either way, be cautious of these phonies coming out. There's a lot of fakes out there being pumped out by China right now. And again, if it's too good to be true, it's probably, that's what my dad taught me. If it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. So you're not going to buy into a precious metal. There's a reason it's called precious, right? So that's where a lot of these dealers, like Andy Scheckman and that are U.S. Mint. How long were you in the jail? Was it all? Yeah, it was. They still are trying to. I don't think my son and daughter are alive anymore. So as hard as that is to say, but they gave me 45 days. I filed an appeal. My attorney violated my rights, so he didn't bring my son because he's fucking murdered. And I've been reporting it over and over again, and nobody will take a fucking report for it. But and my daughter, so they didn't call him to witness, so they violated. Apologize for my cursing, but they gave me a 45-day sentence or whatever. So it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna file my appeal and beat my appeal because my attorney violated my rights. So remember, Marshall Rat, a snitch bitch, took my 40 pounds of silver and my gold, and I believe he killed my son and daughter over it. So Kind of like that little bitch Mike Miller who owed me $2,000 fucking dollars and hosed me for $2,000. So from 2017. So people always steal from me, just like my younger brother Jeremy, who took 25 pounds of fucking silver from me. And he's got plenty of money. So, but yeah, I'm not happy. Remember, even at my trial, I said my son is not here, my daughter, and you just violated my rights. I've been reporting him murdered, and nobody wants to look for him. So, yeah, what a bunch of nonsense. This country's rubbish. So. And so are 98% of the people in this country are garbage. They don't give a shit about constitutional rights. They don't care about people. They just stay in their own little bubble. So, and they take advantage of people like me that are nice to them. So, you do somebody a favor, they'll end up robbing you, you know. So I think that's what I let Marshall come into my cabin and open up my safe. And, you a felon there, Billy? Tell us about yourself there, squid, like a fucking octopi with all your tentacles. So, so let him stay. Unhide this little piece of shit. Let's troll the trolls here. Let me troll the troll. Let's see what this dumbass is, what he knows. So unhide him. Let's have a conversation here. See if he wants to. Let's see what he knows. Let's see what he knows. He's talking shit out the back. He got anal syrup leaking out his backside. So let's see what he actually knows. So come in here and try to cast shade on this live stream. And I got a son and daughter that have been fucking murdered. But I believe by either Josephine County or this county is involved, Lake County, or maybe it's Mulher County over there, because I've been doing this shit since 2012. You know, long before that, I've been blogging on this internet, you know, and dealing with shitheads that take advantage of me, like my brother, like Marshall, like Mike fucking Miller, a guy who owed me thousands of dollars and took me for a couple $1,000 when I was a single parent, single dad, no Social Security, no disability, no VA benefits. Mom didn't even give a dime of child support. I took very good care of my son until I got him in trouble. So that's why I've stuck up for my son, because I was the first one to, because of my political activism, because I speak out about dog shit like this squid in here. So unhide squid. Let's see if this person can actually knows anything, or if they're just come in here and cast shade. I'll moderate them myself. Come in here, try to cast some shade. You ain't gonna do anything. Father created all things. Everything ever written, he creates people, vessels of wrath fitted for destruction from the foundation of the world. So let's troll the troll for a little bit. See if he can come in here out of nowhere and talk some shit. So shit talker, Betty Crocker. That's what most people are. A bunch of, they got no actions. So Father's watched me. How many YouTube channels do you have? How long have you been, you know, helping people out? You know, you help somebody out, they'll normally take advantage of you. That's the way people are. They're opportunist. So I don't run from it. Remember, in here I've talked about it before. So I think it's funny people come in here, and this channel is monitored by law enforcement. I have discovery from my case that says they monitor it. So is that you, Lake County? Is that you, Mulher County? You know, is that you, Mike? Is that you, my brother, Jeremy, who took 25 pounds? 25 pounds of it was Elijah's silver. That's a pretty shitty thing to do, huh? Your own family, and he's got millions of dollars, took 5 pounds of silver. Elijah earned that too, in school and work, and his own uncle took money from him. His own fucking blood, man. Still to this day, never even called, doesn't care. You know, people want to cash shit. I don't run from nothing. I have nothing to hide. So you can unhide him. We'll see if he actually knows anything about her. If he's just this person like anybody else, just reads what you see in the paper. So, but anyways, let's go back to the conversation. So, silver, you know, is going to continue to probably be in demand. You're not going to get away with having all these data mining centers and all these Bitcoin, you know, crypto, you know, it all takes copper, it all takes silver, And I think that's what we're starting to see. Is we're starting to see, you know, when they're going to come out with this battery that goes 800 miles, you know, or something like that on a single charge. I think it takes 32 ounces of silver. So I lost Tango. So one of my cats when I went to jail disappeared. So I lost a cat, some chickens. You know, I always lose animals when something like this fucking happens. Money, animals. You know, I have over $225,000 in this case with my son. You know, the paperwork saying that they $25,000 bail that I put up for him, I lost. So I just had to shell out $25,000 worth of my precious metals that I sold at $3,000 an ounce on gold and $30 an ounce on silver. And look at it now, $100. Gold's what, $5,000. So pretty much with the premium. So I lost my big dog Tango. So maybe lived a little bit longer at Marshall. Remember when I got him back from Marshall, rat a snitch that he looked deplorable. It was horrible. He looked like somebody burned him with a torch, and his whole front of his chest was mad, and he had like 10 ticks in his face. And I begged that guy to give me my dog back for months and months and months. Maybe he'd still be around. Probably not. He died of old age, but it sure didn't help the cause, did it? So, no, lost chickens, lost Tango, just recently lost Yasher, my cat. So, all right, hey, you're back there, Squid. Step up to the mic, Squid. Step up, you little fucking punk-ass bitch. Speak up, you fucking tyrant. You want to talk shit? Go ahead. You got the microphone. Step up to the mic there, Squid. You don't come from the hood. You're not some hood stomper. So, yeah, no, he had a good life too. And remember, if I had the $11,000, I would definitely probably would have spent it on him. So I spent a few $1,000s to try to keep him alive. You know, his stomach flipped on him, and there was like $300 in X-ray, morphine, IV. But it was the right thing to do to put him down because he never suffered. The day before, he was a puppy, and then the next night, I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I heard him, you know, and he was pacing back and forth because his stomach had twisted. And when I brought him into the vet, they said he was 13 years old, and they said dogs that his size normally make it about 8 years old is the max, maybe 9, or very seldom they see a dog come in at 10 years old, like a standard poodle. Because remember, he was a big dog. His stomach turned over in his body, and that's, you know, living proof that I always gave him diamond lemon rice when people would offer him like a you know, oh, you want to give him a milk bone? No. Shut up, Squid. Talk some shit. Don't sit there and talk no shit. All right, you guys, you're not hood. You're not from the hood. You're from Oregon and you're in the hood. Get out of here. You wouldn't even know what the hood is. So, yeah, we gave him a chance to talk some shit, but they didn't have nothing but a bunch of smack. Shit talker, Betty Crocker. That's all they are. So, but anyways, I knew something was wrong, and then I felt his stomach, and it was hard. So what happens is when a dog gets old like that, at old age, their stomach will turn. There's nothing to hold their stomach like that, and it cuts off their circulation, and eventually it cuts off all their oxygen to their brain. So they needed $11,000 to go in there and flip his stomach, and there really isn't anything to cause it not to flip back over again. So I'm glad that I didn't have the $11,000. I made a call. Somebody said, Tracy, he's not a puppy, man. I know you treat him like a puppy and acts like it, but he's 13 years old, man. So there you go. He died of old age. You know, that's what happens to big dogs. Their stomach flips in their. So I could have paid the $11,000 and it could have flipped it over, but there's probably nothing within the next month or two. It would have just done the same thing, and then he would have been in pain. So I'm glad that I didn't have the money on me, and I would have spent it. Like I said, a couple few grand in my pocket or whatever that I had, and that was from selling that motorcycle. The motorcycle money that I had, it went to Tango to make sure he didn't suffer in his last moments. And so I live streamed it. If you want to see his last moments, I live streamed I haven't gone back and watched it, but I haven't even gone back and looked at any videos of him. So he's buried here in the back, and I miss him tremendously. He was a good dog, but I have to remind myself I got 13 good years with him. And when I told the ladies that he was 13, they were like, no way. He doesn't even have any gray hair on his muzzle. You know, normally black dogs get all that gray, and he was a puppy. And then his stomach flipped, and then he wasn't. So it took me about 2 hours to get him into town. The hardest thing was driving him there and hearing him whimper and whine, and when I know he was suffering. So I'm glad I didn't wait. I waited about 20 minutes after I'd woke up. He was drinking water, and then I set food down in front of him, and he didn't eat his food, and he's never not eaten his food ever in 13 years. Did he never eat his food? And when he didn't eat that food, I said, we're going to the hospital, buddy. Daddy's going to go make you get better. Or I didn't know I would be taking him for his last moments, but they said I had about a half an hour, and he was going to not, he would have passed, you know, he just wouldn't have any more oxygen in his brain. So I chose at that moment to just end it right there. So that was a hard decision to make, but I went into, I heard some whimpering, you know what I'm saying? And I said, who is that? My dog? They said, your dog's the only one in here right now. I said, you know, so I went to the back, and he wasn't even on the table. He was on the ground, and they'd shaved both of his sides, and they'd already punctured his stomach. No, I don't think I'm going to get another dog. I'm not ready to. I've got Pants here. I've got Bobo. So his brother. So Bone and Reincarnate is now Yotter, but he's the same dog. So that's kind of like to get over your ex. I mean, you should spend some time, you know, don't go jumping to another, but the best thing to get over a woman is to go get your wick wet. Go get your wick wet. You won't be thinking about her anymore, right? When you go diving in somebody else's guts. So I don't mean to go there. I'm a straight up guy. So yeah, I'm just not ready for another animal right now. I don't know. We'll see. Anything's possible, but at this point in time, I just lost my cat that I had for 5 years. So I'm still trying to get over that. Like I had a dream the other day, because I don't dream, because normally I use cannabis and I haven't been able to use it now. So I had a dream that I saw him in my dream, and I was like, yeah, sure, boy. And he came over to me, and before he got into my hands, I knew I was dreaming, and I woke up so distraught. My heart was pounding, and I knew it was a dream. And that's been sticking with me. I scream for him every day and every night, and but I know he's gone now. I put an advertisement that day on the local page here in North Lake, Find My Pet, and the local page, and somebody set up the road, way up the road, they saw a gray cat, but they wasn't sure if it was mine. And I just haven't been able to get over it. As soon as I had that dream, it just stuck with me. And so after that day, Juniper started coming in the house. I don't think she might even be in here right now. And she didn't want to come in the house at all. At all. She loved playing with her brother out there. They were best of friends, best of friends. He was fixed. Probably if I didn't have Juniper, if I would have had Juniper fixed, Kevin's cat is the one who I'm pretty certain that ran him off. And I'm not mad at Kevin or mad at Kevin's cat. That's just the way it is. He's a big, long, lanky tabby. And I think he ran off Yasher because Kevin said, I didn't really come over and feed your cats, man. So it's okay, man. He's, I only fed him a couple times. That's all right. It's okay. It is what it is. I can't expect you, you know, chickens, cats, you take care of Yotter Boy, Bone. And so he was honest with me. He's like, I think it, you know, it's probably because I didn't come over and feed your cats. I said, it is what it is, man. Don't worry about it. So, but I have hollered for him and hollered for him and hollered for him day and night. Kim's like, I hear you over there calling for Yasha. Well, I can't just give up that easy. So, but Juniper's been coming in the house now. So I think he's gone because she didn't want to come in the house. Neither of them wanted to come in the house. Weird, because she spent so much time in the house. Remember, she was in the house during the raid. So now that she's coming back in the house, it's a sign to me that he's gone. He may come back as cats, but I don't think so. Not in this valley. There are hundreds of coyotes in this field over to the couple miles over here to the Table Rock, and more predator birds. If I had to take a guess what got him, I would say a bird got him. So there's hawks, there's falcons, there's osprey, there's eagles. There's more birds in this valley than anywhere I've ever been in my entire life. And I've been to all 50 states. I've traveled outside this country. So, yep, that's why. That's why. I'm like 98% certain that's what happened. So it's okay. It happens. That's what I think that happened. Kevin's cat ran him off because they used to kind of get in a little scrap out there, and but he liked Juniper and she's not fixed. So I need to get Juniper fixed, and as soon as I can. As a matter of fact, I need to get on that and get her fixed. His cat's fixed, but he just liked her. He used to come over from there and come over and try to hang out with her, and Yasher they used to go back and forth. So I think he got run off. I was hoping he went to another farm, but I just don't. That's got dogs. They've got dogs. Everybody around here's got animals. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I went ahead and advertised online to see if anybody had seen him in the local community page. But I live in the wide open out here. There's just not. I have searched through every building. The other day, I thought I saw him on top of the rusty butterfly, but it turned out it was a hawk, because he likes to get up on top of stuff too, and that's not good. Get up on top of poles and sit there. But I miss him. He was such a good cat. He didn't like to be picked up, but he would let you pick him up. You know what I'm saying? And you could pet him, but he's like, that's enough, But he was a good boy, and after you have an animal for 5 years, it's hard to just let him go. So, but I do think he's gone. Just like I don't think my son and daughter are here anymore. As much as I want to have some kind of strength to think that they are, it doesn't mean I'm not going to stop giving up looking for them, and I'm still pursuing that. But there's nothing. I've never had anything now, and since December they went missing, and both of them went missing in September. So I think Marshall has everything to do with it. I think Marshall Radonich, Wolf Creek, Mount Creek in Josephine County is responsible for the death of my son and daughter. And I've said it over and over again. I reported it to Josephine County. I reported it to the state police. I even said something about it at my trial. I didn't speak on the witness stand, but I said it after they gave me a chance, guilty or whatever, to say something. And I said, it's hard to believe that my son and daughter are not here, but it's probably because they were murdered. Nobody's ever come and talked to me, so I'm having a hell of a time. Father is really beating the crap out of me. So missing animals and missing dogs and missing cats and missing kids. Father's just beating this crap out of me. So I'm down to one dog and one cat. No friends, no family. I'm just a loner, man. So I'm glad that I have this ministry, because you guys are really all I have left in this world. It gives me something here. So all I really ever had, the only person I've ever connected to was my son. I don't feel like I've ever connected to anybody in my life, ever. So, I understand that, right? But this is different. Saying this is like a thing. We'll have to see each other on the other side. I don't know if we'll ever be able to meet in person. But the neat thing about what's going on here is that I didn't have anybody in my life that I'd ever felt like I connected to, and I know there'll be people that I will meet on the other side of this lifetime now. I won't go there. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if Elijah's going to make it. So I might have showed up to what you call heaven alone. Being like, well, this feels just as same thing as the world. I don't feel like that anymore. I know there will be people, not many, not many. I don't know if I'm going, but there will be people that I will connect with on the other side. And I didn't have that prior to this whole incident. So the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So I just, I'm pretty good at investigating things. Remember, I found both my son and daughter's car. I found where I thought they were at. And I reported them missing, potentially murdered, and, potentially being raped. And they wouldn't do anything for me. And that was a lie. They did not have a no contact order with Adriana. They should have went that day. But they might have shot, everybody did that day. And maybe he is still alive, tucked away somewhere, and Father has him in a place where he's not being, I don't know. I can't imagine having a 5-year warrant for your arrest, knowing that you have other charges and you have a warrant for your arrest looking over your shoulder every day. Fuck that. I wouldn't want to live like that. And his wife supporting him, if she's alive, she's obviously supporting him. They both went missing in September. Both of them. So, and neither of them been heard or seen from since. And I put my feelers out there and I just can't get anything out. I have nothing at all. So I'm not giving up on him. That's why I still, I put on my son's timeline. I love him. And I called it, I left a message on Adriana Massey's thing, said, you were kidnapped by the state police. You need to file an immediate, civil lawsuit against the state and the county. And she hasn't seen it. And of course, my son hasn't responded. So that's all I can do. And I feel like if I contacted them both, I could be putting them in jeopardy. So, well, thanks for that. Wow. What is that? Quay? I can't think. Q. I'll call you Q. But hey, that's promising. That's promising. Marshall said he can hide him. Maybe Marshall didn't kill him. But Marshall's never been honest with me. Marshall has never been honest with me. Even, like I said, when my son was here, Marshall said, hey, bring your son and daughter down here and I can hide them in the gold mines in Josephine County off of Wolf Creek up in the gold mines. I said, you're not hiding my son. He didn't do anything, so we're not going to run. There's no reason to run. And you can get it taken care of. You can come down here too. I said, no, Marshall, I'm not coming down there. We're going to face what we did. If you have something, we don't run from it. So, well, they are together, Joe. They are together. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm about 98% certain that they're both, if one of them is alive, they're both alive. If one of them is dead, then they're both dead. I don't think one of them is alive and one of them's not. That don't make any sense at all to me. They both went missing at the same time. And it doesn't match what the state police said. The state police said my son went missing in September when he was in open court over the phone. Not his body, but in court over the phone. I heard his voice because I did live streams about it here and said, my son sounded like he was distraught. It sounded like somebody was holding him at gunpoint. And that makes sense to appear at that court date over the phone. So the state police don't even have their stories, their timelines off. That's why I think the state police are involved. So I think Marshall might be a federal agent, and he's a coyote, and he moves people for the feds. I think he's a snitch, is what he is. Marshall Rat a snitch. Marshall Rat a bitch, because I've called him, and he, there's nothing. I don't get any response. So, hold on, I got to go shut the front door, guys. It's a little chilly. You got it's probably in the 20s out here right now, maybe 30s. Come on, puppy. You want to go outside for a minute and go potty? No? me check my fire here. She got a log in there. So, but that's what I was thinking, Joe, because Marshall covered Elijah when he originally went to jail over this case where he got in trouble, you know, going into those empty buildings and hanging out there, and then taking some stuff out of some house where this Tony Karsten rapist who ran around this county for a whole year, he didn't go to jail. He didn't get any convictions. He didn't, but all the teenagers did. Marshall, I sold a chair of some guy that Marshall used to live with. Marshall, my son knew him, I guess. And what are you doing, puppy dog? My door didn't shut all the way. Elijah owed him $10,000. Because actually I sold that chair. It was an electric wheelchair that was on tracks. What are you doing, puppy? What are you doing, puppy boy? Oh, I love you. I love you, good guy. I love you, puppy. So, Marshall, he owed Marshall $10,000. He owed Marshall $10,000. I sold the chair, and I had to fix it, buy parts for it, and do all the work on it. But that's eventually some money that Marshall had given up to help pay for John Caligo, the attorney, to get, you know, whatever John, to get him to get Elijah some actual legal counsel, which John Caligo I'm going to sue John Caligo for violating my Sixth Amendment, not calling my son, not even summoning my son or daughter. So I'm already appealed this case because they violated my right of Sixth Amendment to call witness in my favor. So, but Marshall put up $10,000 for Elijah. So I think what happened is when I told Marshall to come in here and take the gold and bail my son out, to leave my silver alone. That was my retirement. Had, 40 pounds of silver, and said, do not touch that. I already lost 25 pounds of silver the last time something like this happened. And I said, please do not touch my silver. I think what he did is he kept the gold and silver for himself and convinced Elijah that Elijah doesn't know that I bailed him out. Elijah doesn't know anything about it. How would he know? Because remember when I went back and talked to Marshall a year later, because nobody would look for him, he told me that my son had argued with him the whole way home. He told me too that he hadn't had any contact. When I said, hey, what's going on? I don't want to get Elijah in trouble. We have a no contact order, but is he doing okay? I mean, I don't want to talk to him. He said, your son's he's refusing my call. It's going straight to voicemail. And I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Same thing with Adriana. What's going on with Adriana? She's doing the same thing. What? So I think Marshall took the gold and silver and said, your dad didn't want to bail you out. Your dad said, fuck off. And that's all Elijah heard. But I think exactly what happened is when Marshall went to go bail him out, the only thing I could think of is if he did tell him about the gold and silver, my son said, that's my dad's retirement. Give that back to my dad. And Marshall said, nope. And he got in an argument, and then Marshall killed him that day. I think that's what happened, because he never told me they got in an argument. When I went back down to Josephine County off Mount Creek, I found my daughter's car at his house, where he told me he had not talked to my daughter. My son had sold him a little yellow pickup truck. It was parked in the same place that my daughter's car was at. And it was like, I saw my daughter's car. I was like, oh, fuck, I found my son and daughter. They're here with him. He must have put them up in the gold mines. Like he said, they must have come down here, which didn't make any sense to me. So I asked him, like, why is Adriana's car here? Is my daughter here? He's like, no, they're not here. I said, well, where's Elijah's truck at? Oh, he bought that truck from me. Elijah went on the run in a little yellow pickup truck with a 5-year warrant for his arrest, and a yellow truck, little yellow Toyota. Yellow? Yellow, you see every yellow car driving down the road. Mine, red looks like it's going fast, but yellow sticks out like a sore thumb. And then he told me my daughter's car, which I would have bought from her because it wasn't modified, the one they charged me with supplying in court, that I supplied my son with a vehicle when it was his car and my daughter's car, my stepdaughter or my daughter-in-law, her, not stepdaughter, my daughter-in-law. And I was like, and he said he went up to Pine Grove, and picked it up. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So he went in the house with me. I walked in the house with him, and that's where he told me. He said, when I picked up your son, he argued with me the whole time. He never told me that. He never said anything of the sort. And that's what I think, again, when I went to go pick up Tango, because I kept asking, I want my dog back. I'd like my dog back. I have my dog here. He's without his other dog. And he's never been, apart from him. He wouldn't give me my dog back. Month after month, I begged him, pleaded with him. I'll come down there and get him. I need my dog, Marshall. I mean, this is a tough spot I'm in. I'd like to get my dog back. He wouldn't give my dog back to me. So once I finally got my dog back, I told you it was in deplorable condition. I think that's why I think that Marshall killed him. Because Tango was in horrible condition and he must have been stressed out. I think my dog was stressed out. So when I went and finally picked up my dog, I'd asked Marshall, I said, hey, Marshall, where is my silver, man? You said you had it. I have all these messages from you. You said you had it in the back of your trunk. I was worried he was going to call me up, said it got stolen because it was in the back of his trunk, and he had my passport. He said, well, I don't have it. Your daughter took it. Like, my daughter took it? You're the one who... I said, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you. I just got my dog, I got in my vehicle, and I left. And that's where I think he kidnapped Adriana. Had her come down there and killed her because he had already spent that gold and silver. Because I told him, one day, Marshall, when this case ends, I'm going to talk to my daughter. I'm going to find out, because you said you had that silver the whole time. I have messages from you, but I'm going to talk to my daughter one day. This case is going to end, and I'm going to find out if she, if she had it. And I think that was a mistake to say that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I think he'd already taken the money, the gold and the silver, and my passport, and either spent it, because one time I talked to him and he said, oh man, I'm in a financial crunch. He has plenty of land, and he had a lot of money. It was like a setup, like why he needed to take the silver and gold from me. I think he was trying to cover his ass at that point. And again, the reason why I think that this is the man responsible for my son's and daughter's death is because he's the one, he said he could take them and hide them in the gold mines. They could come down there and make $300 a day. Well, it doesn't take long to pay the $10,000 off, and obviously it was $25,000 for the bail, but I put that money up with the silver and the gold. It was me who paid for his bail. So I think when I met Marshall that day, because he wouldn't meet me here, he wouldn't let me go down. I met him in like a weird place. I couldn't meet him at his property. No, he's not spiritual. So when I told him that one day this case is going to be over, he had already spent the money. I think he had the money. He went and bailed my son out of jail and kept the gold and silver for himself, and told my son he didn't bail you out. And my son, or I did, and he got in an argument with him because that's what he told me that day. And I said, Marshall, that's crazy. I said, and he told me that day, he said, I might know somebody that knows where your son is at. Give me a week and I'll call you back. And I said, Marshall, what? And he said, yeah, I'll call you back in a week. I'm like, because I was trying to find him. This is the only place where I knew he would be at. Well, I didn't hear back from him in a week. So I called him back. I called Marshall back. And the very first words out of his mouth was, hey, what's going on, Tracy? What's going on with Elijah? He asked me what was going on with Elijah, and he was the one who was supposed to give me an update on Elijah. He said, I know somebody who might know where he's at. And all week I was like, oh my God, oh my God, please call me, Marshall. Please, somebody call me. We'll figure this shit out, And then I call him in a week because he don't call me back. And the very first words out of his mouth were, hey, what's going on with Elijah? That was God just slapping me in the face. So I think Marshall Radonich is responsible for my son's missing body and my daughter's missing body. And I told you that I must have something to do with it that day, not physically, that I told him that one day I would talk to my daughter. And I think that's why he lured my daughter down to Josephine County. And then when I called Josephine County, they said they saw Elijah down there on video 2 times. Had a warrant for his arrest, but they didn't go get him. Just like I called and said, okay, here's where he's at. This is the guy responsible. 20, or 40 pounds of silver and, I don't remember, like 8 or 10 pieces of gold. I can't remember exactly how many I had. I just was buying them randomly and putting them in the box. Even my son's like, why do you have gold, Dad? Because I didn't buy the Bitcoin like you told me, son. You got to diversify. So I think that's when he lured Adriana down there in September. That's why her car was there. And I reported it to Josephine County. I had to call Josephine County and say, hey, my son's here. Don't shoot him. He was already shot by the state police with his hands in the air. But my daughter's there and she could be being raped. I've got 40 pounds of silver and a passport, which is a federal offense. They told me, quit calling us to do your dirty work, Tracy. If we go there and make contact with Adriana or Elijah, you have a no contact order, which was false. False. So I need to get on that lawsuit as well, which was false. Adriana's charges were dropped in September. There was no contact order. They failed to go look for Adriana Massey that day, which they should have, because the no contact order was dropped. Just like they dropped all my conspiracy charges because her charges were dropped. They can't charge me with conspiracy. I think Marshall lured her down there and killed her too. And that's why I've never heard from anything from either of them. And nobody's seen either of them. Nobody's talked to them. Elijah's phone's off. I don't know if Adriana has not made anything postings on her Facebook. Nothing. They both went missing in September, and they told me if I was calling Josephine County when they told me they saw him on video 2 times in Josephine County. Well, then why didn't they go get him? They had a 5-year warrant for his arrest, but I was more concerned about Adriana being, raped by Marshall, because I don't know what this guy's I don't know. He's a liar and a deceiver, and he hasn't been honest with me. He hasn't been forthcoming at all. Like the whole, I'll get a hold of you in a week because I know somebody might know where he's at. Then I call him. He's like, hey, what's going on with Elijah? So it's been difficult. And then to go to trial and lose my trial, and then nobody talks about it. They don't even try to summons Elijah. And then I get an attorney to try to get some help. So I figured he's got investigators. He don't send any investigator out. I asked him to get the Josephine County call. He didn't get it. And why would they have a warrant for his arrest? You know how hard it was to call Josephine County? Because I'm basically calling the cops on my son. Like, oh, well, fucking don't shoot him. But my daughter's body and her well-being is more, Marshall's not raping my son that I know of. I don't think he's homosexual, but he could be raping my daughter. Please go look for her. There is 40 pounds of silver if you need reason to go, and they turn around and tell me they're going to throw me in jail, which was not correct. So I need to get off my ass this week and get a hold of some more civil lawsuit attorneys and sue Josephine County. Because what they did that day was denied call for service. They did not go look for Adriana. Why would they have Elijah on video? Just like my current probation officer, which is the head of probation, which is a conflict of interest. This is the same den of wolves that got my son killed because they wouldn't listen to it. Now I'm under their probation. The same wing, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm under their probation. And he tells me, you know, I when I was in jail, I'm like, you know, I've been reporting my son murdered. Oh, that's you. I hadn't seen you in 5 years. I've been calling you for 5 years to try to talk to you, and you will never return my call. Well, you're not on probation. I don't have to talk to you. Well, now I am. So let's have a meeting. Let's sit down and let's talk. And every time I talk to him, he like the last meeting, I went down and talked with him. So I talked to him in jail. He wouldn't meet with me. He came to my cell. He talked to the other guy, but he wouldn't meet with me. This is the head of probation, Jake Greer, now my probation officer. I tell him, hey, my son has been murdered. He's like, your son's been seen in Lane County. That's his record, where he's from. You know, over there. He ain't going to go back to Lane County. That's the last place he's going to go. Why would Jake Greer sit there and tell me he saw him on video or he saw him in Lake County and not go pick him up? He has a 5-year downward departure, means he's going to do every day of that 5 years. And then when I called him on it last time, he's like, oh, get a hold of Josh. He won't talk about my son. You know, going on probation, they're going to try to get you off probation. They need to work with you. Actually, I said, you need to help me get off probation. So we need to talk. Well, no, we work together. So I went in there and talked to him and said, okay, well, you said you saw my son in Lane County. Why didn't you go arrest him? Oh, well, I don't know. Just go talk to Josh about it. So he doesn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to talk about it. Just the head of probation responsible for my son's death. 100%. He's the one who wouldn't return my call. I had people all over the world calling this guy. All over the fucking world, people were calling his office as I was live streaming, trying to get him not to come out here and do what they did. SWAT raid the house, bring 20 plus men with fucking armed to the teeth and shoot all the windows out of my fucking house and blast me with a fucking grenade in the face. And now I can't sue them because of the statute of limitations, because I waited too fucking long, because I was a nice guy. You know what the word nice means? It means to be stupid. It was stupid of me to sit there to think that, oh, it's wrong for me because Christ turned over the money changer tables because he didn't like taxes. I don't want to tax the local people in my community, you know, in the state for the criminal behavior of their public servants and their, you know, community servants. It wouldn't be right. That's wrong for me. If Father wanted them to be taxed, he would have taxed them. That was my mistake. And now after going and sitting in jail, I realized my mistake. That was wrong for me to be nice and sit there and didn't want. If they need fucking taxed in this state, in this county, they're allowing this corruption to go on in their county. They're not doing anything about it. These corrupt officials will get away with this shit because people like this community in this state allow it to happen. So did I. And they could have been out there doing this to other people. So that's why I need not to drag my feet on my recent Sixth Amendment violation where they didn't call my son and daughter as witness. That's my Sixth Amendment right of trial. Call witness in your favor. Right of discovery, suppression of evidence. I asked John to make sure that they sent out a summons to, you know, and I said, I reported my son missing, John, in Josephine County. I explained the whole thing to him, showed him the SWAT raid. He said, well, get a hold of the state police. If they're not going to look for him, get a hold of the state police. So I call the state police. I say exactly to you what I just said. And they said, we don't have any jurisdiction. These people have the ability to come out and run over all my kennels and pens and my livestock out here. Let them run all over the place. Drive out of my property when they said they weren't going to ruin anymore. Run over 3 more fucking kennels, which they didn't have to do. Grenade my son and daughter, which I didn't even know they had done that. Literally shoot Elijah with his hands in the air. He had his hands in the air. I live streamed the whole SWAT raid. Hit me in the face with a grenade and then shoot out all the front windows in my cabin and lob 5 tear gas canisters in this thing. But they don't have jurisdiction to take a report for my son's missing body. or my daughter. I think I'm the only person in the U.S. that cannot report my son and daughter missing. And I have over and over and over and over and over and over again, even at my trial when I lost my trial. Well, would you like to say anything? Yeah. Where's my son and daughter? Why are they not here? They should have been here. Probably not here because they've been murdered, is what I said. And then, okay, go get locked the fuck up. 45 days. Nobody's ever come and investigated anything. Hey, we're with the feds. We're with the state police. We're with the... Nobody's ever came and said... to even ask me, why do you keep reporting your son murdered? Because he has been, and nobody will look into it. I can't even report their bodies missing in Josephine County, the county that they went missing in. And when I called that county, because that's where I located them after doing my investigation, because I'm a prior pig, prior law enforcement, special weapons and tactics trained. At least when I served in law enforcement, you could put your hands on a woman because her Fourth Amendment right to be secure in her house, papers, persons, and effects was more important than officer fucking safety. It didn't matter if she had a gun. I had to call in a backup female officer, do a pat down or frisk, search her. That was her Fourth Amendment right. That was her right. That could not be crossed. They don't care now. A man will stick his hand right down a woman's pants or vice versa. Women will do the same thing. So this system is corrupt. And I've reported my son murdered and missing and daughter murdered and missing through how many avenues, even at my trial. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. So it's a pretty sad life I live right here. Wake up every day knowing that my son and daughter could be suffering. Their bodies are fucking rotting there. And as a dad, I'm not his father, and he knows that. It's just hard to sit here as a single dad. I was his dad for 8 years. I took care of him without any assistance from his mom. No child support, no help, no pencils during the school year, no play clothes during the summer, nothing. She didn't contribute anything. As a matter of fact, when I said, hey, after I got, found, I was like, what's going on with Elijah? You're his mom. I don't know. I don't talk to him. Well, he was there in the county where you're at. He's supposed to be there. Where's Adrian? I don't know. She actually let the police who came looking for Elijah talk to her brother, where he said he would miss him playing a video game. That's where I did. I'll live stream you guys. He was playing a video game, just went black in the middle of a video. This guy is an online gamer. I went to go visit him, and he made like $300 for winning a race. I'm like, damn. Okay, and he's, Dad, I'm sorry you came over here, and I'm in this thing, and I know you came over here, and you don't ever come over here, but I got to do this. That's cool, son. Whatever. Just do your thing, buddy. He ended up getting like $275, $300 put into his CashApp account. And he just goes missing, and he's an online, one of the top gamers in the whole world. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're both gone. I think they're both gone. And I think that Marshall Radanich is 100% lie. He's in on it. Somehow he's in. And I've reported it over and over. When I reported it, they called me. Hey, don't call us doing the dirty work for you. If we go there and make contact, you've broken your third party no contact order. We'll throw you in jail. What? I said 40 pounds of silver, my passport, that's a federal offense. You withhold somebody's passport or steal it, that is a federal offense. They should have contacted the feds that day, Josephine County. Instead, I had my appointed counsel, Paul Raphael Ahmed Palmer, and he said they wouldn't give him the CAD call. Why didn't he get a hold of the feds right then? Hey, this is my client. I'm calling to get the CAD call. He said he called. You threatened to throw him in jail. He was calling to report his son murdered or missing, his daughter murdered. There was 40 pounds of silver and a federal passport. Here's the guy who had it. Here's the guy who says that, and I have all the discovery to show them. Here's messages. This is where he says he has my passport. Then he said he sent it to me and it never showed up. Bullshit. Bullshit. So this is a difficult life, just to go through that, sit in that jail cell, be poisoned. I don't know what the hell they did to me. That's why I just went to the doctors today, because after that, I don't know, whatever, they fed me that. I didn't eat pork so they could isolate my meals. And I took melatonin after not sleeping for 9 days. I didn't get it till the 10th day. Try not sleeping for 10 days straight. It twists your mind a little bit. It changes you. And whatever they fed me that day, because it was like the next day I had that turkey, I have never been the same man since. Then they gave me that same turkey like a week later, and it smelled like formaldehyde or embalming fluid. And I said, I'm not eating that. Smell that to my cellmate. And he's like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, I'm going to take it over and let the guard smell it. I told the guard, smell this. No, smell this. No, smell this now. And I never once raised my voice in there. Okay. Whoa. Oh, I'll go talk to him. So I think I was poisoned. I think they literally poisoned me in there because I have not felt the same since. I have this burning, I burp and I feel like the only other time I've ever felt like this in my entire life is when I was younger and I broke my back and they made me take OxyContin because I wasn't taking it and Percocet and they forced me to take it. I was a single parent. I was running a landscape company. I still tried to stay going, even with a fucked up back, to stay going because I didn't get Social Security. They wouldn't. I filed for 7 years and they refused me. And I'm a single dad and I didn't even want a check. I said, give me what I paid in the system. I've been paying Social Security since I've been 15. I joined the military at 17. I paid a lot into the system. I'd like to take and get what I've got. Instead they refused me. I was the kind of person that actually probably should have got a check. They get people who get on methamphetamines and get off methamphetamines a fucking check every month. But I'm a United States honorably discharged veteran, a single fucking parent, taking care of my son, trying to do the best I can, living in a house and doing, running a landscape company with back all messed up, still trying to make things work. Because who's going to take care of me when I go down and have back surgery? Nobody. Who's going to take care of my son? Nobody. So I had to push through that, whether I liked it or not, and still work. So I said, I'm not asking for a paycheck every month. I just want the money I put into the system. And they still refused me, denied me. And I told everybody, for 7 years, everybody bugged me. Come on, man, get Social Security. You're a single parent. You've been going through all this stuff and you spend all this money. And dude, you're the type of person. Okay, after 7 years, I told, all right, I filed 7 years it took me to get a trial. 7 years it took me to get that to trial. And then I go to trial, and actually went to trial, and there wasn't even an attorney there for me. My attorney didn't show up, so I represented myself. They said, you can't do it. I said, sure in the fuck can. As a matter of fact, you, judge, now have to help me. No, bang, you're not controlling this. We'll take a recess. She came back. She said, you're right. I do have to help you. I said, yeah, you do. I opened up my discovery, and there was a bunch of missing files. So they just refused me. So, everything has just been a nightmare, and now I go to trial and I get convicted because my son and daughter aren't even there at my trial. That's a Sixth Amendment violation. Call witness in my favor. You know what I'm saying? So I know, would it be anything, I'm not saying it is, but I wanted my back pay. I wanted my back pay. I didn't care about a check every month, So if they wanted to give it to me, that was one thing, but I didn't want that. I wanted what I'd paid into the system. It was a considerable amount. I worked since I was 15. I had a job at 14, 13, but I didn't pay taxes. I had a job on paper, 15, started paying Social Security, started paying tax at 17. My dad died at 16 and joined the military at 17 years old. 18, bam, gone, off to the, MEPS, and bam, off to training. Become a military police in the Army, So even like right now, when they go through my, they're asking me the questionnaires about probation, they're like, oh, well, you're a veteran. Don't you get veterans benefits? No. We are an honorably discharged veteran. Yeah, it says it on my license. I've had it on my vehicle. I took it off my vehicle because I felt like it was getting targeted, especially in this country right now. Oh, we'll get it for you. We'll get it for you. They file it and they won't release my files. The Army will not give up my medical files, will not give up any of my file, my DD-214 or nothing. I've had multiple people try to file to get my benefits. So I've never been to the VA. So people don't understand my situation. So it's difficult, guys, but whatever. I have not gotten nothing back. I still to this day don't I don't even know how this is even possible. I've reported my son and daughter murdered and missing now for over almost 2 years it's going to be since this whole incident happened. And they went missing in September of last year. So October, November, December, January. They've both been missing for 16 months. Both of them. Nobody's seen them. Nobody knows where they're at. But yet I reported them over. And supposedly Josephine County saw them. Supposedly. How come the district attorney did not summons my son to trial, put him in fucking handcuffs and have him come in jumpsuit, stripes, whatever, to appear at my trial? That's a Sixth Amendment violation. Your Sixth Amendment, if they're going to take you to trial, they have to charge you under Title 18. Your Sixth Amendment is your right of trial. You have the right to fair and speedy trial under the right of discovery and suppression of evidence. You have the right to call witness in your favor. That is my right. My attorney didn't summons anybody. As a matter of fact, he didn't even bring any evidence in my favor. He said, Tracy, you didn't break the law. That's what he explained to the jury. My client did not stop his son. He's 18 years old, older. He's 20-some years old. If he wanted, he could have pulled the car over. His dad did not physically stop him. This is not interfering with a peace officer. This is not hindering prosecution. They charged me with supplying my son a vehicle when it was not even my vehicle. It was his vehicle. I got charged with supplying my son with a vehicle, and he is the one who, it was his daughter, my daughter, and his car. Imagine that. I got charged with supplying a vehicle, hindering prosecution, and interfering a peace officer. They didn't even summons my son or daughter into court. They summons me to my son's trial, but they didn't summons my son to my trial or my daughter. Pretty interesting, huh? How the fuck is that even possible? That's a Sixth Amendment violation. The right of due process, how about cruel and unusual punishment? Hit me in the face with a fucking grenade. How many people could get hit in the face with a projectile that's meant to be thrown into, I'm special weapons and tactics trained. I did all my certification for SWAT training. It says it in my discovery. That's, he's a veteran, he's military police. He was, they knew I was trained. I was trained by LAPD. In Hawaii is where I did all my building entry and underground certification. So they knew damn good and well who I was, what I've done. But I never threatened violence. I said, I'm going to use my right of due process, my First Amendment right to redress grievances. Peacefully protest. I'm not using my Second Amendment. This ain't some Waco, wacko, Ruby Ridge. So they didn't care. They just brought 20 plus men armed to the teeth, come grenade my son and daughter while they're sleeping. While they're sleeping. They didn't even bring a warrant for my daughter's arrest. That is a kidnapping. You can't accost somebody's body. Under your Fifth Amendment right of Miranda rights, remember you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and do will be used against you. You have the right to legal counsel if you cannot afford one to be appointed to you. That's a violation of my Miranda rights. Adequate counsel. My own paid attorney did not even bring any discovery into court in my favor. The only thing that he brought, nothing. The prosecuting attorney used my live stream. What about my 258 hours of live streaming prior to the incident, prior to the SWAT raid? They wake my daughter and son up from a dead fucking sleep with a grenade. That's what blew out the front of the windshield in the motorhome. I didn't know that till I found the spoon from it, 6 months later. But I go to because that's what woke me up from a dead sleep. I go to the door. I stick my head out the door and say, Elijah, are you okay? Elijah, you're okay. And they hit me right in the face with a fucking grenade. Concussion grenade. That's assault and battery. Cruel and unusual punishment. You know what I'm saying? Your lawyer probably should have subpoenaed Elijah regardless if he knew. That's right. That's a violation. And I told him, if you take me to trial without summoning my son or daughter, you are violating my Sixth Amendment. I have the right under the right of suppression of evidence, right? Discovery. It's called discovery. You cannot bring any evidence into trial. Oh, look what we got against Tracy. Ha, ha, ha. No, the defendant and the prosecuting side gets to see what the defendant has. You can't just surprise somebody at court. They have time to go over the discovery. That's called your right of discovery and suppression of evidence. You cannot suppress evidence at trial. You cannot suppress my Sixth Amendment right to call witness in my favor. And I told him if I did that, that'd be a pretrial or it'd be a mistrial. He goes, well, you have to go to trial for it to be a mistrial. I know. Actually, if you look up what's called manifest necessity, Dave Vandenberg, the seated judge, should have called manifest necessity because a key witness was not available at my trial. That would have not allowed me to be double jeopardy. They could have taken me back to trial without violating double jeopardy. Now they didn't do that. So that's a Sixth Amendment violation. Right of discovery, suppression of evidence. I have the right to call witness in my favor. My son was driving the car. Hey, did your dad physically stop you? My attorney didn't even bring up to the jury why I wouldn't let my son stop the car. They had no idea. All they saw was me, with my video going, don't stop the car, Elijah. He didn't speed. It says it. He didn't ever sped. He did 55 miles an hour. They didn't even get out of the dam. The officer Lance Brown didn't even get out of the vehicle. Didn't announce it. I've been a fucking police officer. You ever done a felony traffic stop? Get on the ground now, walk back. Nothing. Didn't even get out. Didn't even announce himself. I'm out there just bitching him out. You fucking piece of shit, cop, thug, pig. I told you to quit your fucking job, and I'm calling him Sam Birch. When it was Lance Brown, he didn't even identify himself. That ain't no felony pursuit. So the whole thing is just disgusting. And then they just walked me through a trial and convicted me. The jury never even saw any of my evidence because no evidence was brought in my favor. If my son could have been there, son, why did I tell you not to stop the vehicle? Well, Dad, I already did my probation. I had to leave, and then I did it again. They kept trying to throw me in jail, so I called you. No evidence was brought in my favor. None. All the jury saw was the state's evidence against me. 2 videos, the cop following us down Oil Dry Road, and me telling my video, me filming it from inside the vehicle. No, son, don't stop the vehicle. You have what is called affirmative defense. This is your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your house, papers, persons, and effect. It's called excused defense, justification defense. It's under a civil or criminal trial. Your actions are justified. Justification defense, excused defense, excuses your action in a civil and criminal. I know this case. I put this all out there, and still they just railroaded me. Fucking railroaded me. Didn't matter. I still went to jail. I still got poisoned. I'm on fucking felony probation now for just using my mouth. That's all I use. Just peacefully protest. So what a fucked, situation. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I filed an appeal. We'll see what happens. Appeals are hit and miss. So we'll see what happens. So let's leave it alone, guys. It is what it is. I probably got my son doctor killed over fucking gold and silver, and I should have just taken the gold and silver. No, I can't, Mario. And that's, I think, where I'm having a little bit medicated, and I use it so I can sleep. So I haven't been able to use it. And my body's not, I'm not detoxing. I don't have it in my system anymore, but my body's just used to having it. For the last 15 years, I did not use any other medication. I just used cannabis to get a good night's sleep. Gummies work great, so I can't, as of now, I don't have any drug charges, but I don't know. The paperwork says something about no alcohol or drugs, but that's if I have prior. So I am trying to get my medicinal card because I've had it until they made it recreational. I used to be a, patient grower. So when they made it recreational, I didn't get my medical card anymore. So I actually just went and drove all the way over to Eugene, where I had a company said, oh yeah, we can get your medical card. And they looked it up and said, you haven't been to the doctor since 2009, dude. We can't give you a card on your records are too old. So I went to the doctor today, and I told the lady, I'm trying to get I can't get medical card. I'm not asking you to sign my medical card. And then we had in this little thing about, cannabis and not marijuana. I said, it's cannabis. Marijuana slang. I use it as I'm not asking you to sign off on a medical card, lady. I'm asking you to find out, did they poison me? What the hell is going wrong with me? I'm not sleeping. I feel like I have this type. Remember, I suffered a stroke, guys. If you were looking at the video, you can see my eye was right here. One eye was up here. One eye was down here. You know what I'm saying? So, bad. Hemorrhage for 6 months. 6 months. it was Lady in Red. I'm sitting here, and my whole face starts leaking blood on the live stream. Pastor, your blood in your face is... Damn. Then tear gas. I think that's what's wrong with my lungs. My lungs haven't been, since this. Try eating 5 tear gas canisters, let alone to have a concussion grenade thrown right in your face, right in your head. The live stream is on the playlist if you want to go see what the fuck they did to me. That is fucking assault and battery. You can't hit somebody. Like I said, smoke or gas is meant to be thrown in a room, or concussion to fill the room and concuss the room, not directly projectile hit somebody right in the fucking face with it. I don't even know how I can talk or walk, or that I didn't, suffer brain damage. Only by the glory of the Most High am I still here. Somehow he still has me here so he can just keep beating the shit out of me every day, and no answer to where my son and daughter is at. So I'm responsible. I take responsibility for it because my son told me to take the gold and silver and go on the road. There's that double cab Tacoma you want, Dad. There's that double cab Tacoma you want, So, yeah, I have a little brain damage. Yeah, that's how I can articulate there, fucking Mario Brothers. Why don't you take and go bump that fucking mushroom and go hide down your little fucking tunnel, Mario? I don't think you know your ass from a hole in the ground. I don't think you're not certified as a fucking doctor. You're not an MD. You're not a first responder. You're not an ND. So you're just some fucking YouTube schmuck coming in here acting like you know what the fucking talking out the backside of your anal syrup that's leaking out the back of your ass. I'm a United States fucking Army veteran. I've been through a lot of shit in my day. I never expected just to stand up for my son using my right to peacefully protest to be hit in the fucking face with a grenade. And then my animals to have to breathe 5 fucking tear gas canisters. So, nope. I'm not done yet. So, I haven't quit. I'm still going, right? So, let's see you take a grenade to the face and see if you can even have a fucking conversation. Your dialectus, your glossy, your tongue. So you can come in here and teach 7 days a week the scripture. So remember, it's not what goes in a man that defiles us. Man and woman are this. It's what's my damn potty mouth that defiles me. But I don't think Father's going to be concerned that I fucking curse. What Father is, who he's taking to the wedding feast of the Lamb? The people who stand up to the beast system. Those are the people that are going to heaven. The rest of you, you're going to hell. You're just a bunch of jackboot thug licking little fucking bitches. Because Christ stood up to the law and they threw him in a jail cell, hung him on a tree. Does anybody want to hang you from a tree? He says, follow after me daily in the book of Matthew. Luke, my disciples. You ain't a disciple unless you're standing up to perverted law. Those are the people that are going to heaven. And heaven's not above your head. So get it right. Yeah, that's who's going to have their name, and it's not Bob or Tom or Mary or Sue or to have their names called out in the book of life. It's the people who stood up to perverted. That is the Hebrew word froward. Remember, he said, you froward in my Father's agape. And agape was the law. It was the Old Testament. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. 613 statutes, commandments. Does that sound like fucking brain damage to you? Fucking idiots. So, idiot means they don't know. Never seen it and never heard it. 99% of the people I call an idiot, they can't define the word idiot because they're in hell. Hell is the place of no bis knowledge. That's the word knowledge. BYSSS. Revelation 9:11 says they have a king over them. King of the abyss. That's Apollyon. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the one birthed on December 25th. Massé, like my daughter's last name. Massé. That's the eating of human flesh. So Christ's Mass is Satan, the sun god. So go take your other religion somewhere else. And go take your Dame Bramage, right? I think I got Dame Bramage. I mean brain damage somewhere else. So I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. But it's not, obviously, we'll see. I should probably actually have them take an x-ray of my head when I'm there. I'm going to actually ask them because it says for my back. I need to see. I hemorrhaged for 6 months. I suffered a stroke. Pretty fucked up for a guy that's just standing up for his son. Are you standing up to any perverted law? Well, guess what? Enjoy your hell. That's where you're at already. It's not below your feet. Hell's not below your feet. Earth's not below your feet. Heaven's not above your head. Go study. Study the word. He's the word. The word is Hokadesh. The word became flesh. That's Shiloh. You know who Shiloh is? The scepter shall not depart from Judah till Shiloh returns. That's the one who comes back and redeems his bride. Only the people who stand up to perversion of the law. Crucified. Remember, not loved by the world. If you're loved by the world, you be hated by my Father. Yeah, that's what it says. So I hope the world hates you. I hope everybody around you hates you. Because you're not here to be loved. You're not here to be nice. The word nice means to be stupid. Go study. Remember, prove yourself worthy by studying. So, remember, I ain't tripping. When I went to jail, you know what I told everybody in jail? Father, don't make mistakes. Not at all. This is exactly where he wants me to be. Exactly. So, take that and put that in your little apple pipe and smoke on that. Because everybody in jail, all they do is talk about methamphetamines. And you know what I told them all? You're not on meth. You're on fentanyl. As you're all smoking fentanyl. Because, oh, I can sleep and eat. Yeah, you're not on meth, you idiots. Don't you know the dragon? They don't even cut it anymore. They use that to cut it, and everybody gets wasted. So, grow up. Okay? Well, I don't have to sit there and take these people's nonsense. They don't make any sense, like America makes no sense. I'm a United States Army veteran, served this country, and look what the fuck they did to me. People who stand up to this perverted system get persecuted, remember? They hated me before they hated you. So I hope this world hates you. YouTube. Remember, I've been doing this for, 12 years on this platform? Half a dozen channels or more? You think this is my first rodeo? It's not. I've been standing up to the perversion of this corporation for a long time. And they don't like it. So guess what? That's his disciples. Those that bear witness, those who bear, crucified is not hung from a fucking cross. Nobody ever hung from crosses. Grow up. Nobody hung from crosses. That's paganism. That's the cross is the Ankh. They didn't hang the Messiah. That's the word Hamashiach from a cross. That's Satan. 9/11, paganism. Heathen. Remember, learn not the way of the heathens. Their traditions, their customs are vain. If we don't stand up against this perverted law, then we're not going to heaven. You're already in hell. You don't have any idea what you're talking about. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to try to turn a goat into a sheep. So it's not possible, brother, sister, who was already chosen from the foundation of the world. Vessels of wrath fitted for destruction from the foundation of the world. Those are the goats. And then there are sheep. Those he chose to call out in the book of life. Remember, David declared him the Lamb of God. That makes Father the Ram. Remember, the trump. They would blow the trump, like the ram's horn, the shofar. Kind of like your cough drops, remember? Ricola. I got to throw some wood on the fire. All right, thanks for letting me go off. We'll stop talking. We'll go talk about silver or something here. What time is it? I need to feed my puppies, don't I? Not quite, so. All right, thanks for listening to me, guys. This is my right to peacefully protest and raise grievances. So that's all I'm doing in here. Not making any threats. I never threatened to hurt anybody. And all I ever did is I'm a meek man, not a weak man. Obviously, I'm not weak. I'm just meek. There's a difference between meek and weak. Look it up. He said, turn your cheek 490 times. I'll do the math for you. 7 times 70. Bunch of Mathican Americans. No, they're not. They can't add up nothing. It don't add up. Makes no sense to me. Sitting here and try to sit there for how many years, and people come in here and entertain themselves to sit here and watch me go over this case again and again and again. Not one person has ever stepped in. And how many people on here? 30, fucking 40, 50,000 between TikTok. Not one person has come to help me. Not one. And I'm not mad at anybody. They're still my family. So don't worry about it. I'm not expecting you to get involved. Anybody who gets involved around me ends up suffering. So, no worries. All right, guys, I got to go get some firewood before it gets dark. I just put my last piece of firewood on the fire. So, if you need to take a pause for the cause, now would be the time. thanks for listening to me rant and peacefully protest. That's all I'm doing. I just miss my son. I miss my daughter. I miss my dog. I miss my cat. I've lost most of my chickens. You know, I haven't lost my dignity, but they've taken just about everything else from me at this point in time. So, and Father made him do it. So I'm not mad at anybody. Even Marshall, if he killed my son, I'm not mad at him. Father made him do it. So I'm not seeking no vengeance towards any judges, any prosecuting attorneys, anybody involved in this case. I have no qualms. Father created all things. He made them do it. Everything not written and everything that ever will be, Father creates. So if it hadn't happened yet, guess what? Father created it. So who ought I be mad at? I have nobody to be mad at, except for myself, that I didn't listen to my son, take the 40 pounds of gold. Remember, in this case, too, I could have taken a single misdemeanor from 7 felonies. They offered me a single misdemeanor. No probation. You know what I told them? Fuck you. We're going to take it to the box. And we did, and I lost. So what? Sucks. I don't like it, but if Father wanted it to be different, one of those jurors would have said, nope, correct? So don't think I'm in here pissed off at anybody, except for myself for not listening to my son, who's very wise. But I didn't. I didn't take the gold and silver and shit about the double cab and went on the road. And I wouldn't be in this situation if I'd have just listened to Elijah John Werner. I love you, Elijah John, if you're out there somewhere. If you ever hear these videos someday down the road, if you're still alive, your dad never gave up on you. And I didn't give up on you, Adriana. And I apologize that you got involved in this. And I'm never going to give up, and I'm going to keep fighting this peacefully with my mouth and not with weapons or violence until the day that Father takes my last breath from this meat suit. Okay? So thanks for listening to me rant. If you need to take a break, go let the dogs out to do their business. I have chickens to put up to now. I got to go grab their water because it's freezing overnight. And I'll come back on here and we'll talk about gold and silver, and we'll leave this in the dust. Okay? So thanks for listening. Appreciate it. If you want to support the ministry, there's links in the description. I don't want your money, but if you have any extra, I'll probably just go buy some fucking precious metals at this point. So go buy some copper. Where are you going to get copper at? Do you know anywhere to get copper? Like Duracell, he keeps going and go. Oh, wait, that's Energizer. Dad's got to go get some wood, puppy. Want to go out with Dad and get some wood, buddy? You want to go get some wood with the dad? Dad's going out to get wood. I got to get wood for the fireplace. Since you like to be warm in here and be warm, puppy. You want to be a warm puppy. You like being warm. Where's your sissy? Is she up there in the bed? Where's her sister, your kitty sister? Bring the chickens water inside. Bring things some water out there. Just keep one of them from freezing up. Okay. right. Where the hell did I put my keys at? Where did Dad put the keys? Lock the front gate there. Really? What? Will I still be in the door? Brought him in. Where did Dad put the keys? Number tortillas. Weird. There's the other keys. Interesting. Interesting. aren't I? Nope. That's where the keys go. Yeah, I've lost the keys. Where did I put the keys? As soon as I find the keys, I'll get you some food there, buddy, but I gotta find the keys. I had to unlock the door. I had the second set of keys, but I need the keys to the fence. I seem to have had a momentary lapse of reason here. I've got a big set of keys, and they're nowhere to be found. What the heck? There's the groceries. Oh, there are they? No. I see if they were sitting right there. I'm not seeing them or something. I don't know what. Where the hell did I put the keys in? There's the second set that I went out and got it in the other vehicle there. What a trip. Came in, had groceries. You're being a good boy, Mr. Bowbone. Dad can't find his keys. What did Dad do with his keys? They're a big set. They got 10, 15 keys on that set. I don't have them in my coat. They're not right where I was sitting. They're not up there. That is weird. Is there a bag that I put it in? I put it in. There's the bag of groceries. Let's get you fed. You ready for some food there, puppy dog? Dad lost the keys. I'll find them. They're here somewhere. It's a trick, though. Weird. Weird, weird, weird. They gotta be somewhere in this house because I came inside with them. Dad had to unlock the door. How do you lose that big set of keys? That's a big ass set of keys to be setting down. There are like 10 keys on that key ring. So let's get the puppy fed. We'll get the puppy fed and then we'll find him. Over here somewhere. Gotta be here somewhere. Are you hungry, boy? You're a good boy. You're my best kid. Never did have. Never did have. For the puppy dinner. You're my best boy that I ever had. I'm lost. Where did Dad put them damn keys at? Where did I put the keys at? It must have fallen down or something behind there. You must have put them up there and they must have fallen down. Down in here and behind the sink. Down behind the sink. In there. Oh, what do we got there? Something down there. That's another key ring. Here's the other set of keys. Weird. We had to come in the house with them, so they got to be in here somewhere, so they can't be too far. But I checked in the groceries. They weren't in the grocery bag. The other groceries that we got. There's the tortillas. There's the cabbage. Let me take this coat off. It's nice and warm in here. Nice and warm in here. I came in and I brought the groceries in. We're going to retrace my steps here. 1 minute. Set the groceries in here. I'll put these groceries down here. Check the groceries out there in the bag. They're not in the bag. How many sets of keys do you have, man? We're going to look for them later or something. Where did Dad set them down at, puppy? Nice. All right, guys, I lost my set of keys. I don't know how I could lose them because they're a big set. You know, it's a large set of keys, so I must just set them down somewhere else. Not in there. You still got a few of you hanging out in here. Here you are. Where did Dad set the keys at, bud? You can't lose that big set of keys. That's too big a set of keys to be losing. There's no way we got in the house without him, huh? There's no way we got in the house without him. No keys there. Huh. We'll find them, but where did they go? Where did they go? Well, I am at a loss because they should be sitting right out somewhere where I can see them. We came home with them. We came home with them. Where did you put my keys there, puppy dog? Say I didn't put your keys anywhere, Dad. You get set down in here. I just stuffed all that firewood over with him. I'll find him like, what the hell are you doing right there? Not hanging up though. I always hang the keys up. Always hangs them up. No keys, no keys. How's it even possible? That's a big set of keys. There's no way I lost that whole set. Fall back in behind here or something? I don't see him. I don't see him. No, they're not there. Not down in here. All right, guys, I'm not going to keep you in here. I'll come back in a little bit. I got to find my keys. I don't have any idea where I put them. I just looked everywhere for them, and they're a big set of keys, so really weird. So I'll come back in a little bit. Appreciate you guys' time. Didn't mean to leave you hanging here. I'll come back in a little bit. Pastor Revelation, Pastor Apocalypse. Whoa.